Hello, my dear young ladies. I'm back again with another class of voice change. In previous voice change lecture, I have discussed about the basic rules of voice change. And in that lecture, we have practiced different sentences for changing voice from active to passive. We have worked with assertive sentences basically in that lecture. But today we are going to focus on other sentence types, and we would also try to apply our known rules, and we are going to learn few more new rules today. I hope that you all would be with me with patience and attention. Okay, then let's start our class. Okay, now look at the slide. Here we are having two columns. One for affirmative sentence exercise and other for negative sentence exercise. Now, I want to make one thing clear to you that in assertive sentence, we have both affirmative and negative sentences. In previous class, I have only practiced with affirmative type. For that reason, I thought that you may become confused about negative type of sentences in voice. And for that reason, I have decided to start with this discussion. Now, look at the first column. Here, we are having affirmative. Rewrite the sentences in the passive voice. First sentence is, teenagers read fashion magazines. According to the rules that we have learned in previous class, let us try to do this. That would be, fashion magazines are read by teenagers. Yes. Now, here we are having 7 more sentences that you have to change into passive voice. That is your homework. You have to do them by yourself. Okay? Now, let's go for the next column. Okay, now the column of the negative. Here we are having negative sentences who are also asserting something. They also follow the same rule, just here we have to add one more thing, that is, here we have to take care of the negative word like not. Mostly this negative not sits with auxiliary in both voices. That's all. Now let's try to do the first example. Most boys don't watch Tyra Banks show. Tyra Banks show is a name of a show, that means it is singular, and for that reason I'm going to use is, and I'm using not as because the in active voice the not is in compressed form. Here I'm going to use not as compressed form with is. So I'm going to write isn't. Tyra Banks show isn't. What should become PP, that means past participle in passive voice according to the rule. So I'm going to write isn't watched by, the subject would become the object. Yes, most boys. That would become Tyra Banks show isn't watched by most boys. Clear? Nothing that much tough. You can easily handle that. And if you can't, I'm going to actually help you. If you're having any confusion, write down them in your lecture, write down them in your answer scripts. When we are coming back to our classes, I would obviously help you about these things. But I think it would not be that much tough. You would be able to do this exercise. We are having some other sentences for doing negative voice change from active to passive. I think you are eager to try for that. Okay. Okay. Here we are going to learn few more rules about voice change. Let's start with common rules for interrogative sentences voice change. Here we are going to deal that with 4 steps, as because these 4 steps are common for all interrogative sentences voice change. Okay, now let's see what they are. If we are having any sentence, for example, we are having a sentence like, have you played badminton? This is an interrogative sentence. Look at the first clue or first step, what you have to do. Yes, you have to read the sentence very carefully. Yes, obviously. Okay, then second stage. Second stage, that is you have to change the interrogative sentence. That was an interrogative sentence, and now in second stage you have to change that interrogative sentence to assertive sentence. Do you know how to do that? Yes, we do know because we have already learned in our changing sentences. Okay? Yes, that would be like you have played badminton. Okay, I have made that assertive. Now it's become more easier for me to change the voice because we have learned voice change through assertive form. Now this is an active voice and they have said me to change that to passive voice. Now in third stage, now change this active voice to passive voice. Is it that much tough? No, not at all. We know how to change that. Now let's do that. Okay. Our sentence in assertive form became you have played badminton. Now in third stage, I'm going to make it in passive voice. Okay. Badminton has been played by you. That would be the passive voice. Okay. Now the final stage or our desired stage, that would be our interrogative sentence pattern in passive voice. How to do that? We have already made that passive voice in assertive form. But what to do for making it interrogative? Nothing that much. Just let us bring the auxiliary verb at the beginning of the sentence. Full stop should be changed with question mark. That's all. Then it would become your interrogative form in passive voice. What it had become? Look at it. Has badminton been played by you? Okay, now listen. Very important information, that is we are not going to do all these in our actually exam book or exercise book. You have to do all these things in your mind, or at least you can, if you are not that much clear in your mind, you can write them in your rough side of the exam paper. That means right side or of your paper, and write that that is rough. Okay, but you are going to write the fourth stage answer with interrogative pattern. Am I clear? Yes, I think I am. We have various WH words for our interrogative sentences. They do act differently. Because of the different act, we have to deal with them differently also. Let us find out how to do that. Like in case of interrogative sentence, which starts with WH words like when, why, how, where, we have to follow regular interrogative voice change rules. But we are not going to change the WH word from the beginning in passive form or active form. That means if we have a sentence like, when do you watch television? We have to follow all the previous four stage rules, but we have to do that except actually excluding when, and finally we have to again add that when. প্রথমে ওয়েনটাকে বাদ দিয়ে আমাদেরকে সেই আগের স্লাইডের সবগুলো স্টেজ করতে হবে and then we have to add the when at the last stage again. Okay, let me make it more clear how to do that. We have to go step by step. Now, at first we have to forget about when. In second stage, I'm going to take it as the sentence was, when do you watch television? So I'm going to treat that as, uh, do you watch television? I'm excluding when. Now the question is, do you watch television? That is the regular format of question we have learned in previous slide. Now, what I'm going to do? Yes, I'm going to make it assertive. Like, you do watch television. Yes. Then number third stage is that I'm going to make it passive. That is in active form. Now I'm going to make it passive. Here I have said you to watch television. My subject is you and object is television. I have to change this subject object. Yes, my passive form would be television is watched by you. Clear? Okay. Then I'm going for the fourth stage. That would be I'm taking the auxiliary at the beginning for making it question. Yes. Is television watched by you? Done. That is now in interrogative form. But this is not my destiny. My question was with when. Okay. So I have to add when before the sentence because I have excluded that at the beginning. Now I am again adding that. Now my final sentence would be, when is television watched by you? I think it is clear. If you are not clear, stop this voice clip and listen again from the beginning. Okay? Now let's come for the second rules. In second rule, if WH word like what, who, whom, which works in interrogative sentence as object in active form, then we have to follow regular rules of changing voice change, and we have to treat that WH object as subject in our passive form. তার মানে হচ্ছে যদি WH ওয়ার্ডটা অ্যাক্টিভ ভয়েসে অবজেক্টের কাজ করে থাকে আমাকে তাকে সাবজেক্ট হিসেবে ট্রিট করতে হবে প্যাসিভ ভয়েসে Now let's see how to do that. Okay. If the sentence is an active voice like what do you want? Then what I have to do? Yes, in passive form it would be like what is wanted by you? What is wanted by you? What do you want? My passive form would be what is wanted by you. Let's make another example. Whom does he look for? That is an active form. If I make it passive, it would be whom is looked for by him? Whom is looked for by him? I think it is clear, not that much tough. You just have to change the place and you have to treat what, who, whom, which. When they're working as object in active form, you have to treat them as subject in passive form. That's all. Now, number 3. If who works as subject in active voice, then it becomes by whom in passive voice. Listen carefully. If who works as subject in active voice, then it becomes by whom in passive voice. And then we have to go through the regular rules for changing interrogative sentence to passive. For example, who did the work? In passive, it would be by whom was the work done? And you have to do all the other 4 stages regularly step by step. Just you have to remember that if who works as subject in active voice, then it becomes by whom in passive. That's all. Okay, thank you. Now let's go for the next slide. Let us try to find out how much we have learned about voice change of interrogative sentence. I'm going to read it now, but after listening the whole lecture, come back again to the slide and stop here. And then use a pencil and a notebook to answer this active voice into passive voice form without looking at the answer in the script, actually in the slide. Okay? Now, let us read this active voice and passive voice. Do you love him? In passive, it would be, is he loved by you? Did he break window? Was the window broken by him? Have you taught the boy? In passive, it would be, has the boy been taught by you? What do you want? What is wanted by you? Why did she beat the servant? Why was the servant beaten by her? When did you write the letter? When was the letter written by you? Where will you spend your holidays? Where will your holidays be spent by you? How will you cross the river? How will the river be crossed by you? Have you helped him? Has he been helped by you? Will you teach me? Will I be taught by you? Okay, these are all. Now, this is your turn. Stop here and try yourself. In first lecture and today's lecture, basically we have dealt with voice change from active to passive perspective. Now, let's see how to change from passive to active. Here, actually the opposite scenario would take place. We just have to remember first voice change lecture that you have to remember pronominal chart, auxiliary chart, number 3 main verb change into PP in passive, that should be in your mind. Number 4 subject object changing, we said that. Now, and if we have to find the subject for active, we should go for the phrase by dot or something, because by is referring that is working as object in passive voice, which would be subject in active voice. So if we go for that by, we would obviously find out our subject for active. Or consider carefully who or what is performing the action. That would be the subject in your sentence. Okay? If you don't have by kind of phrase in your passive form, then you have to look for who or what is performing the action. Then you would easily get the subject of your active voice from that passive one. Now, let us see how to do that. There is an example sentence. The sentence is telling us that the book is being read by most of the class. This is in passive voice, and we are going to change that into active voice. And usually, though I have said that as the object subject, but actually object is known as agent. Okay, object is known as agent. So here I'm going to mention object as agent because I want you to know this term when you are reading in higher studies or for another kind of exam. It would be easier for you to have these terms in your mind. Now let's come back to the point. We were changing our voice from passive to active, and our sentence was the book is being read by most of the class. And we know that this is in passive voice, and as because the sentence ends with by most of the class, and this usually happens in passive voice. So what is my agent or what is my object in passive voice? Yes, most of the class. So this is going to be my subject in active voice. Okay. Then what I need? Then I have to go for the auxiliary. The auxiliary is here is being. Is being. So we know that is being usually comes from the pattern in active voice if that is having present continuous. That means is plus main verb plus ing. So what I'm going to do here? Yes, I'm going to take the is and I'm going to take the main verb read. This is read actually here, is being read. I'm going to take the main form, though their spelling is same. So I'm going to use read plus ing. So it would be most of the class is reading, subject would be object in active voice. That means totally opposite would happen here. What we have transformed, that would become the same again. Okay, so it would become most of the class is reading the book. It's not that much tough. I think if you practice a lot, it would be more easier. It may seem complicated, but it is not that much. Practice makes a man perfect. You have to study a lot because grammar is something it needs attention, care, and practice. You have to practice, and I know you are trying your best, but give a little bit more effort. It would be helpful. Thank you. I think you are watching the all the classes that we are giving to you, and we are thinking about going for assignments in our next projects. And we are going to come back. Actually, we are going to give you something that would be helpful for our assessment when you would come back to our regular classroom teaching. So read these class lectures very carefully. It would be from these previous lectures also. So have a happy time till then and try to study harder. I know you are doing, but try it more harder. Thank you so much, my dear young ladies. You are doing great. I know you are doing your homeworks regularly, but you have to revise your English lectures also with that, okay? On next class, I will discuss about voice change of imperative sentence. Bye for today. Take care.